Time now to talk politics, and we have plenty to talk about. I am joined by KATV's Janelle Lilley and Elicia Dover, as well as top business and politics contributor Frank Scott. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. You're feeling better?
Yeah, feeling a lot better.
I'm feeling better. I have my voice back finally, so you guys weren't even sick, were
fine.
you? Yeah, all
well, lucky.
We're getting this stuff over your way. All right, Elicia, I'm going to come to you first in our roundtable here. Mike Huckabee was in state this week for primarily a fundraising swing. Made several stops to the state. He created a pretty big buzz, though, because you interviewed him about this, where he has continued to throw his support for the Duggar family in the midst of this molestation scandal, yet they don't appear on his website as an endorsement anymore. Is there contradiction in his comments and actions here?
Well, there could be, but the campaign says that, you know, it was rotating on their website. It just so happened that this appeared during this controversy. Now,
we're all smiling that that was the excuse that was given there. So,
well, one thing, you know, I found interesting, I kind of shouted out to him at the end, are they going to hit the campaign trail for you? And he said, sure, if they want to, ask them. So we'll see if that actually happens. One thing I also found interesting was that that's what he was asked about. He was asked about the Duggars. He was asked about his transgender joke that he had made. It seemed in every media market that he stopped in, those are the kinds of things he's being asked about, the social issues of the day, and I just don't know if he's going to be able to get away from that.
Yet those are the things that he says voters are not asking about, but that's what he continues to make headlines about, right?
Well, and it's also, those are the things that a lot of his base are talking about, right? I mean, and those are the things that, you know, if you're around the coffee table at your house or in your, you know, in your church group or something, those are the things that a lot of those folks are speaking of too. So maybe not the voters that he's like trying to woo, but a lot of the voters that are already kind of in his corner.
I definitely agree with Janelle. It's just, he is clearly making some comments that's going to get some headway and some media push. It's actually going to be good for him. His constituents are going to want to hear some of that, and he has to figure out his balance because he has to get other constituencies as well.
Yeah, those stories and those comments are filling up my Facebook and Twitter feed too, so not the other things that might could. All right, Janelle, Hillary Clinton makes headlines this week at Texas Southern University talking about what she called a phantom epidemic of election fraud. We've had this debate in the state of Arkansas.
We had it in Arkansas, absolutely.
She's referring to some GOP-controlled efforts to tied to voter ID, tied to voter roll purges and things like this. She called out several candidates by name.
Walker, Bush, Perry, and Christie, all of our governors who are running on the Republican ticket were all called out by name and kind of accused of purging the rolls, basically in efforts to restrict voting. And, you know, it is interesting that she called them out by name as opposed to just as a group. It certainly plays well, I guess, with the Democratic base and also the folks who are going to be running alongside her. You know, you've got or against her in the primary, of course, but you've got Martin O'Malley, and I think that having her kind of as the attack dog on this is something that they're probably appreciating.
Yeah. Do you think this is playing to her base, you think?
I think it definitely plays into the base. She's only saying things that many individuals in the minority and youth community have always been saying. It's something that hasn't been as highlighted as she did by actually stating some names, and so I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
Didn't hurt her with her base.
Right, and one thing I found interesting, I saw columnists say, did she just become an ideas candidate? You know, putting forth, you know, a longer voting, you know, pre-election, early voting,
20 days, I think.
20 days, you know,
voting.
weekends, things like that, that we really haven't seen a lot of candidates talk about.
Universal voter registration.
Right when you turn 18.
Yeah, let's stick with Hillary Clinton in another vein here, because I think this is something that's kind of interesting to me is she hasn't done any big media interviews yet. I mean, everything that she's been doing has been an extremely controlled environment. You haven't, you know, you've seen all of the other candidates on the Republican side and some of these Democratic challengers making themselves very available. What's the guard?
I was going to say, you saw Marco Rubio this week call her out on that, in particular for saying avoiding the spotlight, and it only creates more suspicion, and she can only avoid it for so long. And so I feel like, you know, at least they're trying to call attention to it. But at the same time, you have a candidate who's been around for so long, who's had so much national media, you know, at some point, how much more national media exposure is going to impact what we think or feel about Hillary Clinton? You know, what does it really play? How does it help her? Right. You know, if I'm the campaign strategist, I wonder, you know, why. It's not like my brand or name is by any means not known.
Right.
Right.
What were you gonna
From a
say, Frank?
campaign perspective, I think it's very strategic. She's controlling her brand. She's controlling her message. She's clearly been one of the main individuals that has a lot of opposition research that's been done on her. So if you can control your message as much as you can in a 2-year election, she's doing a really good job.
Alicia, you've been on the presidential campaign
have.
trail before, and you know how that messaging stuff just gets retreaded ad nauseum to the point of
Absolutely, it's
boredom.
mind-numbing. But on the flip side of that, do you really want your traveling press counting down the days it's been since you've talked to them? You can really aggravate the people that are spending their entire life following you, and I think that's something she's gonna have to look at too.
Yeah, I think she's just trying to not burn out too easily too.
Yeah.
I think that's part of at least the strategy in that respect. All right, let's turn our attention to the state. Frank, I'm coming to you with this question. Governor Asa Hutchinson in recent weeks has been in Silicon Valley talking to executives at Facebook, HP, Intel, several others. This is all in the wake of the religious freedom debate that we had at the tail end of the legislative session here. Now, they claim that that didn't come up in their conversations. It was more about the computer coding initiative. How do you kind of assess this effort that he's making in Silicon Valley? Is this a short-term investment, a long-term investment? Are we going to see some payoff from this?
I think we got to be very realistic. Arkansas has not been known to be a Silicon Valley hotspot. And so this is more of from a farming perspective, we're sowing some seeds in Silicon Valley. We don't know when the harvest is going to come, but it's going to come. And it's a good business development effort from him to actually go out there, shake some hands with those CEOs, and let them know what great state Arkansas is.
All right, anybody think that there was damage control done in terms of the RFRA debate? Do you think it's been taken care of?
I mean, I don't know that those two things were necessarily, I understand like as far as proximity and dates, they seem like they're fairly related, but I don't know that they were necessarily related or that was a direct response to the.
I think it was always planned. It's just a matter of when it happened.
I feel like it might just be more of a coincidence and rather than actual timing to go like manage a crisis.
All right, what do you think, Alicia?
One thing I was going to throw out there about the tech companies, back to that, was, I don't think that we're going to see Little Rock become an Austin, Texas anytime soon. Kind of this tech
You're very discouraging.
center of
Y'all
the
are a
South.
startup community out
I'm
here.
saying there's already been one created. There's been a state a step ahead of us on this one. So, but I think that putting those people out into the workforce, having those kids graduate, it will make Arkansas more attractive for some of those tech companies eventually.
Well, I think the other thing we got to realize is we have, from a millennial generation standpoint, there are a lot of millennials who look at quality of place in life. And if we can get them to come here and then say, oh, wow, we have low home prices here, and we can actually keep our money and make some more money off of it, could be a good idea and a good
Bike
draw.
trails, hiking, all the
I mean,
good-
I'm one of the implants here. I didn't grow up here and have stuck around a lot longer than originally maybe I would have thought because Arkansas is a great place to live and Little Rock is a great community. So I feel like I can sympathize with that, and it's not a bad thing to at least kind of put a bit bug in someone's ear.
We got to start bragging about our state at the end of the day.
We do that all the time. Right? We got about 30 seconds left here. Asa Hutchinson coming in on the 6-month mark of his governorship here. Let's give him a grade. What do you want to give him a grade for?
Oh my goodness.
You gonna
You
give him
can
a
give him
grade?
a grade.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a grade. What do you think? What's his grade?
I think he's done a really great job starting out. He clearly won his legislative package, so you have to grade it off of that. So he went in and give him an A.
I'm gonna save my objective reporters here because I'm getting the rap time. I'm gonna give him a B plus A minus because I think there's a lot of things he could handle better, but you hadn't seen them come to the surface. Janelle, Lilley, Frank Scott, Alicia Dover, thank you all for being here.
Our pleasure.
All right.
Absolutely.